All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another time here. Welcome to another time at the book club. I get to do this every Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. West African time. So you're welcome. You're welcome. We're doing a study through our sixth book, and the series is The Good Life by Robert Waldinger and Marc Schulz, right? That's what we've been doing since the month of July, right? So that's July, August, September. We're about 3 months going into it, and we're going to our fourth month in this. And so welcome. We're presently trying to finish up chapter 3 today. We've been on chapter 3. This is our fifth session on chapter 3. We've been looking at relationship on the winding road of life, looking at relationship through the seasons of life, from being a child, adolescence, or on teenage years to the young adult life, to the middle adult life. And today we're going to be looking at the late life. Late life starts from about, mid-60s is what the book says, and that's generally agreed on. Some people will look at it from 61, and until death. That also can be broken down to about 3-4 places. We have the young old life, which is anywhere from 61 to maybe 75. You have the middle or the old life, which is somewhere between 75 and 85. You have the oldest old life or old life, which is anywhere from about 85 till about 99. Then you have the centenarian, which is 100 plus. You can break it, segmented in different ways, right? But we're just going to look at it as a whole stream of the late life, anywhere from about mid-60s till death. That's what we're going to be looking at today. We'll look at that stage in our life and pretty much looking at it from a relationship standpoint, right? As we look at that stage in our life. So I'm trying to see how we're best, for my Instagram live folks. I've tried it from that side. Maybe let's try this other side. We'll keep on trying to get the best place for us to position our cameras, right? But good. Welcome to another time. As I get to do, I'm going to bring up my slides here and we're going to shoot. When I bring up my slides, only those on Facebook Live would see. Those on Instagram Live, you wouldn't see because there's no provision for bringing up slides on Instagram Live, but we'll make the best of what we have, right? You have me, and that's all you need. So let me bring up the slides here, and we'll go and take today's session looking at relationships, in the late life. All right. Yeah, I believe you can see my slides here, and that's what we have, The Good Life, right? Again, that's the book again, as those are the authors, Marc Schulz and Robert Waldinger. Both had the Harvard School of which studies adult development, So pretty much the book is a compilation of the results of the study they've been doing. They've been doing this study for more than 85 years now, so it's pretty much a compilation of results from the study. So this is like a real life event study result that we're looking at, and with a bit to maybe learn a thing or two from it that we can apply into our lives and make our lives better, So that's the whole essence of what we're doing, So thanks, Val Rector. Thanks for the wave. Thanks for stopping by or passing through. So pretty much we're learning, not for the sake of doing the book. Like I say, I don't do this for the sake of doing it. It's all with a beat to learn something and apply in our lives and make our lives better. Like I gotta say, the first listener audience to all of this is myself. right? I do this. It's a selfish way for me to read books and learn from it and apply it in my life. So if there's only one audience to all of this, it's me, right? But if any other person can come along, great, but it's a selfish way of developing myself and hoping someone else can come along as I do, So great. Let's go. Pretty much we look at our schedule. Today we're looking at the last part of chapter 3. Next week, Sunday, we'll start with chapter 4. And chapter 4 is interesting also. Chapter 4, its title is Social Fitness, keeping your relationship in good shape, so keeping your relationship in good shape, like what was said, it's not just about having relationships, but the quality of the relationships. It's not how many relationships you have, but you have quality relationship. That's where the power comes from. It's a quality of the relationship, not just having relationship that matters, right? That's when you get the value, the beauty, from relationship, is having quality relationship. I was just looking for a t-shirt somewhere around me here, near my notes. So we're going to do chapter 4. Chapter 4 will take us the whole of October, and we'll start with chapter 5 in November. And the title of chapter 5, if I do a quick snake into the book, title of chapter 5 will be, all right. This is not planned. So title of chapter 5 is Attention to Relationships. So chapter 4 will look at social faith. They will look at attention to relationships. That will be chapter 5. Those two chapters sound like they're going to be interesting to me. I look forward to our time in them, hoping that we can learn more things from it and make our lives better also. All right, so let's go to today's session, and pretty much it's chapter 5, part 5 here, talking about relationship on the winding road of life. This is our fifth take on that in chapter 3, and pretty much we're looking at the continuum of life, right? We all come as we get born with children, right? And in that continuum, we're dependent. We come in dependent when we're born, right? We begin to then lose that dependency and gain independency as time goes on. We lose that dependency and gain independency as we grow, right? So we'll grow through from childhood. We'll go into our teenage years where, our struggle, our desire, for independency is probably at the height. And it's also being enforced by the hormones that begin to grow, that begin to flow into our bloodstreams, right? So as adults, there's puberty period. You have hormones flowing, begin to differentiate the boys from the girls. As children, it really doesn't make a difference. You see, the girls are with flat breast, flat chest, you couldn't differentiate the sex, but with hormones beginning to flow in adolescence, with puberty setting in, there is a differentiation. You're no more looking at that girl without any feeling anymore, but because there are now differentiating features in the genders, that kind of differentiate or bring some other meaning to friendship, and there are ways to relate at that stage of life. There are ways to relate at that stage of life, which is not the same as when you were children, preteen years, The beauty of looking at all the stages is to understand that we change. And as we change, life has different expectations of us. The expectations of us as children is not the same expectations of us as teenagers. It's not the same expectation of us as young adults. It's not the same expectation of us as in our midlife. It's not the same expectation of us in late life. Even as those expectation changes, our internal expectation of ourselves also is changing, right? Because there are hormones that are flowing to our bloodstream as we enter into each stage of life. Those hormones that trigger puberty, in our teenage life, our adolescent life, force us against our maybe laziness or inertness to grow, right? Because those hormones determine, features that differentiate our gender, right? For men, beards, for women, breasts, and all the other features that begin to differentiate the genders, right? And as we go into our young adult life, then those hormones begin to stabilize, as it were. Those hormones that kind of just force themselves into the scene and destabilize us. Destabilize us, we begin to get a bit of stability with those hormones. And just as we get those stabilities, we go into our midlife, and we have new hormones begin to flow into our bloodstream, taking us into adolescence, taking us, into what they call that thing, menopause, and all of that, other things that begin to trigger in the midlife. Then we go into our late life when we're supposed to have stabilized all of those disturbances of menopause, and we're pretty much settled, getting ready to leave the scene. So all of those things have happened to us. It's not that we decided, it's the way life is structured to happen, right? It will happen to you. It's not because you sinned. It's not because you made a mistake. It's not because you offended somebody. It's not because God does not like you. They are structured to happen, right? And whether you win or lose when they happen is a function of your understanding of these changes, both internally and externally. Right, and that's the reason we're studying it. That's the reason why it was studied by the Harvard School, so that we can win. We can win even in these changes. Like Isaac Newton would say. He says, "I have gone further. I have done better, than those that have gone before me, because I sit on the shoulders of giants." I sit on their shoulders. And that's what we should do also. When people have taken the pain to do this study, we can use this study to win in life, right? Like we look at the 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. There's nothing you're going through that's strange. There's nothing you're going through that's extraterrestrial, right? It's all a human issue. You're going through a human problem. You're going through a human challenge, and human challenge have human solutions, right? Whatever you're going through, you're not the only one. People have gone through it before you and they succeeded. Some failed, but a lot succeeded. You can learn from the success, you can learn from the failure and do better. Right. All right, let's go on. All right, so we're talking here about the late adult life, right? I would say again, it's from mid-60s till when we leave the scene, and the tag for it we're talking about here is minding what and who matters. This time you're no more struggling, you've gone past those ingestion of the hormones, that gets you all worked up in adolescence life. You have gone through that settling of those hormones in young adult life as you begin to then get a life. You've gone past that place where you're using the life you've gotten in young adult life in the midlife. Now it's time to rest. Not that you won't still be active, but what marks the stage out is wisdom, not strength. As a young adult, as an adolescent, you had all the strength in the world. As midlife, you still have strength. But what will mark this out is the fact that your strength is not really there. You've exchanged wisdom. You've exchanged your strength for wisdom. You've gained experience. You don't need to exert as much energy as the adolescent will exert to do the same thing. You don't need to exert as much energy as the young adult will exert to do the same thing. You don't need to exert the same energy as someone in midlife will exert to get the same thing done. You can use your wisdom to gain speed by doing less. You can do less to get more because you've gained wisdom, you've gained experience, right? So I'm gonna wear my glasses to see this better, So when we're young, we're looking forward, we still have so much years, we're worried about tomorrow. In our midlife, we're probably getting more conversant with our mortality, and we're thinking about today. In our late life, we're pretty much recounting the past, and we're recounting our journey, as we begin to close the page of our life. It's a time when you've retired from work, and you're probably looking at your work life, and you're reaping the fruit of your labor, whatever that might be, good or bad. So you're pretty much recounting and gaining experience, from the life you lived. So so obviously time is precious to us because we don't have too much of it at this late life. The people that die below 60, now you're at 60 plus. You could leave the scene at any time. So every little moment is precious to you. You don't take time for granted. You're not a teenager that's just jumping here and there and wasting time. Now you have experience, and hopefully you can maximize the time that you have. It's kind of questions that come to you will include, how much time do you have left? Because you don't know, but you're close to it. Probably have less number ahead of you than is behind you, right? You're talking about how much longer you can stay in health, and be able to fend for yourself, carry yourself. You don't have to be label other people. You're asking yourself, if you're gonna lose your mind, people which is getting prevalent these days. People will have memory loss and all of that. People have stroke, get bedridden, and all of that. Those are things you want to guide against. As much as this season, your physical body tends to lose, but there are ways in which you don't have to be a servant to that tendency. You can reduce your aging, right? You can arrest some of that aging by doing the right things, right? By taking your medicines, if you're on medicines, exercising, sleeping well. This is not a time to start doing macho stuff, right? You're past the midlife, and leave all that midlife crisis behind you. It's time that you begin to settle down. You begin to adjust to the reality of the stage, the season, the phase of life that you find yourself. You don't try to do things as if you're still in your adolescence. You don't try to do things as if you're in your young adult life. You don't try to do things as if you're in your midlife. The reality is that you're in your late life, and you have to respect yourself. Because if you don't respect yourself, life will humble you, right? But that's not to say also you use that as an excuse. You can reduce some of that aging process, by doing the right things, by taking care of yourself, taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, taking care of your spirit, right? You can take care of the goose that lays the golden egg, and you can reduce the aging or slow down the aging process. That is possible, right? As much as this is the season of life, you can get the best out of this season of life by what you do, right? You're only going to reap the result of what you do, right? So you ask questions about what do I want to spend my limited time doing, right? The time you have left, you're asking, what do I want to spend that time doing, right? Hey, thanks, Pastor Fuller. Thanks for stopping by. We're talking about your season of life. We're talking about the late adult life, which I know you are in. You're 67 or so, thereabout now, I guess. So we're talking about the late adult life or late life, which is anywhere from mid-60s, And so the questions that you might ask also is, have I had a good enough life? What was meaningful about my life, and what do I regret? So pretty much in this stage of life, you're looking backwards, and beginning to take record, what have I done well? What have I not done well? And you're coming to terms with it. You can't change it. You can't change whatever you've done well or not done well, but it's getting the right lessons, that you can begin to then, put in right perspective, that you can do some things to whatever you can do about it today, and also pass it on to the coming generation, right? It's a tree that you're planting that you might not necessarily have to be under the shade of. You have gone past that time, but whatever you've learned, you can speak to your teen self. There are people that are in their teenage years, that still have years in front of them, that they can do better than you did. Right? They can do better than you did. So speak to them of what you've learned. Speak to the young adult of what you've learned. Speak to those in their midlife of what you've learned, because you have the benefit of experience. In our Yoruba proverb would say that a child cannot have as much rag as an adult will have. In your late life, you have rags that the younger generation can benefit from. First of all, you have to come to terms with it. Look at what truly is the lesson learned. No sentiments, right? It's not being, it's not crying over spilled milk. It's just learn the right lesson so you can pass it on to the coming generation. That's a benefit of late life. The Bible talks about that the glory of gray hair, is the experience, the wisdom you have gathered. If there's no experience, if there's no wisdom you've gathered, then your gray hair is useless. I mean, your gray hair is useless. But the beauty of your gray hair, your beauty of the life you've spent, is to be able to get wisdom from your life, right? Look at your life. If you have to do life again, what would you do differently? How would you avoid some of those mistakes you made? How would you have made a better success than you made, right? That experience, that wisdom is what you pass to the coming generation, right? As you begin to settle into who you are. And there's some of that you can still use, because once there's life, there's hope. Some of that you can still use while you're here, right? All is not lost. For as long as you have life, there's hope. You can do some things, but you have to do them in the reality of the strength that you have, right? You're no more the teenager. You're no more the young adult. You're no more the middle life adult. You're a late life adult. That means you don't have as much strength as any of those ones, but you have wisdom. Use your wisdom. With your wisdom, you can do more with less, right? So some of the things that still come here, like I said, is a time for deep reflection and introspection, right? Obviously, if you're proud of what you've done, great. Pat yourself on the back. And if there are things that you've done, you've not done too well, yeah, pat yourself on the back also. It is what it is. You can't change it. You did the best with what you knew, or whatever it was at that time. You can't change it, but you can learn from it. You can learn from it, and that would work well for you and for as many as are related or meet you. You can impact lives. You can become a guide, right? You can be a leader with the things that you succeeded in. You can be a guide with the things where you missed it. You can tell others, this is how it comes. So this is how the end comes. So the Bible talks about that there's a way that looks right, it looks okay, but the end thereof is the way of death, right? You in your late life, you've already seen the end, right? Unlike the younger ones have not seen the end. It looks like it's great from where they are, but you can tell them what the end looks like, right? You can offer the benefit of the wisdom of the years of your life, right? All right. So again, the virtue here is wisdom, is experience. That's what you gained, by the passage of life, right? So your experience, your wisdom helps you to appreciate time, right? And you can make the best, I gotta share with people, I've seen life, I'm not that old. I'm not as old as Pastor Fola here, but he's about 10 years older than me, right? That I'm in my late middle life, right? So I'm 56. I'm gonna soon be there in the late adult life, right? But in my little experience of life, I've come to a place of peace with a lot of things, because I do this, even though I'm not this old yet. I do a lot of introspection. I do a lot of looking back, And that's what worked for me, right? A few weeks ago, I was being shaken. I had to look at some things that similar thing that happened years past in my life, and now I overcame it. And that helped me. That helped me. That helped me to come to a place of peace, a place of rest, right? Because I saw how I overcame the last time and I could apply it today, right? In a whole lot of things in my life, I'm settled, right? I have anxiety. Anxiety has no place in my life because the wacky people would say, we have seen 99, what is 100, right? I'm using the benefit of the things I've seen, you know, and that has brought me to a place where I'm a whole lot stable than I used to be, right? Because I'm using the experience, I'm using the wisdom of my journey of life, right? Uh, so it helps me to appreciate every moment. I tell someone, just sharing with one of my mentees in the workplace on Friday, just sharing, as I've come, I've made peace with death, right? I'm conscious of my mortality and I've made peace with my death. I'm ready to die right now, right? That's not to say I don't enjoy life, but if death comes right now, it's not going to scare me, right? I would love to be alive for my children. They're listening to this too. My first two will get to listen to this. My last one, but my first two will listen to this and listen to this right now, and I love them. I would love to be alive for them. I think if I die, they might get challenged. So for their sake, I love to be alive. For my wife, I love to be alive. For my parents, I love to be alive. For my siblings, I love to be alive. For the people I get to bless, I love to be alive. For my mentees, I love to be alive. But if that comes, I'm okay with it. I believe the good life. It can only get better. It can't get worse. I believe the good life, you know. But that's what you get as you get with age, right? That's what you get with age, right? And so that's what you get, as you go through these stages of life. Obviously there's a risk of social isolation, right, as you in the late life, because possibly your children have left, even though I'm not yet at my late life. We're empty nesters right now. Children are in school, in different places. So it's just me and my wife at home, so we don't necessarily have that must have children at home. Well, I'm still working, but I'm going to retire soon. And when I retire, there won't be that forced relationship in the workplace. It's going to be a function of the relationships are built over time, will be the kind of relationships I will get, So at least in the late life, you're reaping the reward, the harvest of the seeds you have sown in life, right? Those that get socially isolated because they did not sow the right seeds. If you invest in people's life, you'll be able to reap the harvest of that sowing in your late life, right? If you invest in yourself also, you will be comfortable with yourself. Don't forget, the first person you get to live with is yourself, right? And if you love yourself and if you're taking care of yourself, you can never be lonely, right? You can never be lonely if you've taken good care of yourself, because you always have you, right? So, but there's a risk of social isolation if you have not taken good care of yourself. You've not developed yourself. You're not a good companion to yourself. Then you might have issues, right? Then also you need to invest in other people, right? Because in your late life is when you get the sowing. People will invest to be with you if you have invested to be with them, right? And that goes to your investment on your children, your investment on your spouse, your investment to other people, right? That's important, right? So the good friends and important family connections become very important, right? Because you don't have much things going on, you don't have much going on at this point in time, so uh, that's important. You need to protect that. So we have obviously. So But in all of that, like I said, as you do retrospection, you have to balance. No, but there's no perfect life, right? I've had battles that I've won. I've had battles that I've lost. I've hurt people. As much as I've blessed people, there are people that I've hurt, right? I can go back and change it, right? I've hurt them, I'm human. I'm not perfect, right? It is what it is. For those that I can talk to, resolve, I will. But if I can't, too bad. I'm human. I come to know it. I settle with God. If I can get to you, fine. If I can't get to you, too bad. Right? I'm human. I'm not going to cry over spilled milk. I'm not going to go into depression. Right? God knows that I did the best I could do within the limit of what I knew at that point in time. Right? It is what it is. Right? We're here to have a human experience. And part of that human experience involves mistakes. It involves blessing people. It involves hurting people, hopefully not intentionally, right? But irrespective of what it is, you have to come to peace with it. Come peace with your journey, right? Learn from it and move forward. You can't go backwards, right? All right. So that's pretty much that. I think I've said most of what I need to say. And I'm just going to close with this quote here about Benjamin Franklin. It says, life's tragedy is that we get old too soon and wise too late. We get old too soon and wise too late. We all wish we had this wisdom we have here in our late life. When we were teenagers, we'll have probably done life better if we did, but that's not the way life is structured, right, on its own. But we can help the coming generation. That's the job of the whole generation, So in the Bible talks about older women teaching the younger women, right? Older men need to teach the younger men also, right? That's lacking. That's lacking in our generation. That's lacking in our church. That's lacking in our community. Somehow even the older men seem to be feeling inferior with their life, and they seemingly are lost desiring the life of the younger ones who are blind, can't see beyond their nose. We in later life need to come to terms with our life. We have a good life. It doesn't matter how you got here. You got here. You have the blessing, the privilege of experience, right? And the younger one, no matter how wealthy they have, they don't have that. You have a treasure that they can do something with, but you have to first of all see that treasure before you can bless them with it, right? That is missing in our community. That's missing in our churches. That's why the devil is on rampage. We all need to come to terms with our life, come to terms with what we have learned. Take away all the religion and all the sentiments, get the real learning of the human experience and begin to bless the upcoming generation with it, And that's the beauty of doing the study, looking at the winding road of life, right? We don't see the whole picture. When we're children, we couldn't see it late life, right? When we're teenagers, we couldn't see late life. When we're young adults, we couldn't see late life. When we're midlife, we couldn't see late life. But here in later life, we can see everything backwards, right? Hindsight is 2020, right? But we can help. In our 2020 vision, we can go backwards and help the children, help the teenagers, help the young adults, help the people in midlife, right? And help them do their own journey better than we did. It's giving them that shade that we might not necessarily be on that, because we don't need it as much as they do. We can make a change in our own personal life, but we can make a change in our life by making a change in other people's life. Right? I hope you're blessed by what we shared, but that's all I have. I'm going to stop here, but there is a beauty in understanding the continuum of life, as we go from dependency, independency to interdependency, going through all these different stages, coming with their own challenges, as we understand it, when we're able to use them better, right? And I hope you got something from this, but that's all I got. I'm going to stop here. If you have anything you want to share, you want to add to it, feel free to comment. Uh, uh, this is going on Instagram live, so there will be the reel on my page on Instagram live. It's presently streaming on Facebook, and I'm going to load it up on my YouTube page also. Feel free to comment, had your own experience of late life, young life, midlife, whatever. Let's share together, come ask questions on anything you might want to ask question on that I probably didn't say correctly. Let's just share together and bless one another. All right, till I see you next time. Have a great week ahead, and happy Independence Day to all Nigerians. It's Nigeria's Independence Day, and have a great week ahead. God bless you. See you next Sunday. Bye-bye.